Welcome, everybody, to the Blackbelt Mindset Transformation Show. I'm your host, Jason Reed, and on today's show, we're doing a book review over the book called All It Takes Is a Goal by Jon Acuff. Most goal setting in the past is usually on something like SMART goals or goals that you're looking at your future, whether it's a process goal or some specific outcome you're looking after. It's something you want to look, something you want to achieve. This book goes into a little different strategy. This goes into your past. This will help you identify specifically what gets you excited already. Now, it's always great to come up with new action steps, and there's that part of the book that goes into this. But I want to take you through a simple step process of just understanding yourself better. When I did this, I used to think all my life goals are usually about accomplishments. And in this goal setting book, it talks about 4 different ways that we have great experiences. So if you take your life, whether it's last year, your last month, your last 5 years, or for me, 24 years of martial arts, and you start thinking about the best moments you've had. You start writing them down, and I started doing that from my very first class to my black belt to master to tournaments and everything in between. I started writing down some of these experiences. Once you start writing down these experiences, it's usually labeled into 4 different categories. And when you identify what those categories are and discover which one of those basically gets you the most excited, then you can start getting through goals a little faster and makes the process easier to do. So anyway, if you've never done this before, simply take a minute or two to ask those questions. What are your best moments you had from the last week? Right now, it is February 14th, which is Valentine's Day, and about 95% of most people who set goals have already quit or they've stopped. So by you doing goals specifically, that's part of the accomplishment. So take the last month and a half or year or whatever you want to do, and what are some of the best moments you've had? You can do this every single day. You can do this every single week, month. You can do that at the year's end. Instead of looking in the future, we're looking in the past. Now, most people write down there's 4 specific categories that they go into. The very first one is accomplishments, things that you've accomplished in your life or goals that you've had that you've gone through. This is the easy one. The second one is relationships. This is the relationships with other people when you've gone through an experience before and it's exciting because of the people you spend time with. The third one is object, whether you're getting a goal like a new belt, like a new rock or some type of thing. And the fourth one is experience. So if you take your life and take some of the most memorable experiences, usually it's based on those 4 things. And with that, I'm just going to give you a little experience of my life in martial arts. I started martial arts back in 1999 to lose weight. So my goal, just simply do this, was to go in there, lose 10, 20 pounds, and that was it. Didn't expect anything more. I didn't expect to go in to be a 7th degree black belt or anything like that. I just started. If I would have started then with that goal, I don't know if I would have ever done it. So understanding that if you don't know your why and everything, it's okay. A lot of times that changes. But I had an outcome goal when I first started. Later on, after doing this for a little while, I realized I could lose some weight, and I did do that. But then I also figured I could test for a yellow belt. There was an accomplishment that I knew I could have that I knew would be very difficult to do, at least at that level. Along the process, I started going to tournaments, started accomplishing more things, started getting really good, started feeling really strong about myself, earning different objects and different medals and different belts along the way. There was a time about brown belt level, or actually purple belt level, where I got beat in a tournament, where I didn't accomplish my goal. The guy who beat me went on to be one of my best friends, if not my best friend, Shannon Donnell. Back in 2000, I had not been beat, and I was a higher rank. I was a red belt. He was a purple belt, and he beat me. He took first place. I took second and third, even though it was us two in the matches. But beyond that, after that match, even though as disappointing it was, we had an hour-long conversation afterwards. So to me, that memory is all about relationships. And so just a simple thing of going through goals in life by simply figuring out, know why, what you want, and going and getting started. A lot of times the bigger why happens later on. Now, we're both school owners, and he has one of the biggest schools in martial art in our Tiger Rock organization. He has a son that is best friends with one of my sons. And so it's more than just tournaments. It's more than just kicking and punching. It's his experience, relationships that all started with just going to a class one day, wanted to lose about 20 pounds. And so that's my little story with it. Now, what I'm going to do now here in just a couple seconds, I'm going to bring my son Spencer in here. Everybody has a different story in their life of where they got to. As you go through this, start thinking to yourself, what are some of the best experiences that you've had in your life, whether it's growing and goal setting, in your relationships, or things that you've been accomplished? None of these are good or bad in and of themselves, but just knowing what gets us excited, what gets us our why is what this is all about. So without further ado, we're going to bring my son, Mr. Spencer Reed. Come on in, Spencer.
Hello.
All right. Well, I have a bunch of different questions here that I'm able to hear. Did you get a chance to look at some of those?
Yes.
All right. Now, these are 20 questions over here, so I'm going to fire these off. And all I just want you to do is give your honest opinion as well, too. So that sounds good. All right. First of all, what's one of your favorite memories from martial arts training?
From training, a lot of my favorite memories from training in and of itself involves one of my best friends that I met through martial arts. His name's David, and I've talked about him on a couple other videos as well before, but I met him when I was 8 years old, and we both grew into our own kind of at different times, but also together. He grew into his own pretty fast, and he got really good really fast, and he pushed me to get a lot better, and then after time, we started just really starting to get even with each other, and most of my training moments were with him. There was one specific day I remember a lot and I remember it a lot because we videoed it and we rewatched it so that way we could get ready for a tournament coming up. And it was a sparring round between me and David, and it was a open sparring round. So it was nonstop the entire time. And it was one of the first times I ever got in kind of a flow state before. And it was also the first times I'd ever gone back and forth with him pretty evenly before. And watching the video was pretty awesome. So that's one big day that I remember is just kind of my first day of feeling good going against my best friend who was really good at the time.
I love it. I love it. Love it. And that actually kind of leads into our second question. Can you think of a time you felt really proud of your accomplishment in your training? Did you do that, or do you have a different story you want to tell on that one?
I mean, there's been a million times of, after doing it for so long, but that would definitely be one time. When definitely each and every time you kind of get into that flow state, you figure things out a lot. So I'd say there's a lot of times where I've kind of just gotten in the zone or had that tunnel vision where I wasn't really thinking and everything was just kind of happening perfectly as it and not even really knowing why, but everything just felt right, and you would just do the exact right thing at the right time, and you'd feel unstoppable almost at that point. So a lot of points like that, but no specific points that stand out.
Well, let me ask you a couple of questions added on that. So let's go back to your earlier training. I know the last 2 years you won the sparring championship at the fourth degree and then the 5th degree level. But talk about earlier training. So anywhere up to when you're 12 years old, I'll say. What is a goal that you had set for yourself early on that you accomplished that you can think of?
Growing up, it was definitely mostly just about having fun. And then okay. I love just hitting other people, and I love getting hit at the time. It was just all about the sport of kicking and getting kicked at the same time. So at the time, I didn't have like the overwhelming desire to be better than everybody, but I know I wanted to be good, and I know I didn't like being hit more than I liked hitting other people. So growing up, it was a lot of just going through the motions and having fun with it, especially going up through 12, because it was around 11 or 12 when I started to really figure it out and kind of have an actual desire and goal to get better. But up until that, it was just the having fun and getting better just to have more fun.
So a lot of the accomplishments, it sounds like, is more towards experiments and enjoying the overall experience from hearing from you.
Definitely.
More than just the goal setting too. Let's go to the next question here. What are some goal setting that you do now? Do you do a specific goal setting you do actually right now? You just work on improving things? What's your plan and strategy?
So I know my overall goals and like the things that I want to have happen. And Lord knows as much as I want certain things to happen, who knows what will actually happen. But I have my long-term goals, and then I think in very small steps that kind of go towards that goal. And that's really kind of how I plan it out is I set a goal for something small that I know I can achieve if I put a little bit of work in. And then once I get that, I kind of level it up to the next step and just keep trying to go step by step. And then hopefully consistency over time, it truly is coming up to, up to consistency that those all kind of come to fruition and hopefully help me do what I want to do. So
I love it. I love it. Let's go ahead and change subjects here a little bit. Let's go over teaching, because obviously you're teaching classes now. And I'm sure you don't do that necessarily as a goal, even though you want our students to win, obviously. And we have a tournament coming up here shortly. But tell me about the relationship aspect of competing, teaching, and your value, what you get from that.
Honestly, my goals for myself kind of involve my goals for teaching. I love a couple of years ago, about 5-6 years ago, if you would ask me, my goals for myself were just to be the best. And it's not that that's changed, but the reason I do it's not for myself anymore as much as it is to inspire the students that I do teach. So, and that's kind of where I'm at now. And I know if I can work hard and be a person that shines good actions and good steps of discipline to get to where you want, then I know my kids will be able to do that as well too. So nowadays it truly is about, I want to win. If I don't, it's not the end of the world, but I want to win so that way I can show my kids that they can win too. And I know if I win, they will also listen to me, hopefully a little bit more too. So that's also important. But my definite goal is to get the kids to achieve their goals more than anything else. And I know if I can do that through me winning or me doing well in tournaments, then that inspiration will hopefully help too.
I love it. I love the passion of helping out others excites you more. So as you're growing older, obviously you want to get better, but it sounds like you're more inspired by helping out other people than you are of your own goals, even though you want to have those too as well.
Definitely.
I love that. I love that. Before I get into the speed questions, what is your biggest goal you're working on right now? Whether it's a specific rank or specific belt or specific or flexibility strength, what is your top goals? Top 1, 2, or 3 goals you would say?
I mean, overall goals would be two biggest ones would be hopefully go back to Worlds and hopefully win in point sparring again would be a big goal. I don't definitely want to take a down step from the year before and not win. So that's definitely something on the bucket list. I also am really working hard. I'm not testing this year. So I've been able to kind of help out a lot of the kids that are getting ready for their testing and hopefully them getting ready for the world tournament as well too. So my other big goal is to hopefully get a couple of the students to get really high up and maybe even on stage this year, which would be a huge goal for me. So those are the two big things, but kind of my smaller goals leading up to that, biggest ones are flexibility and being smarter with my sparring as well too, to not relying on athleticism quite as much and being able to read my partner a little bit more. So that's been the biggest things I've been thinking about lately. So yeah.
Love it. You answered one of my quick questions, but that's okay. We'll ask it again here. These are all sparring questions here. So in the past, we're not actually going to kick and punch each other. That might be a fun video sometime. But these are just quick questions here. It looks like I have 11 total or 10 questions here. You basically just say 1 or 2 words. First thing comes to your head. Sound good? All right. The very first one. Name the top physical skill you want to improve in martial arts this year. I think you said flexibility. Flexibility earlier. That's right. I love it. What's one habit you'd like to develop to help you reach your goals?
Stretching every morning and every night.
So, okay, gotcha. So the goal is flexibility. The habit you like to do is stretching, flexibility. All right, cool. Who is one martial art that you look up to and why?
Easy answer would be you. But another big one would be my best friend, Colby. He's a master up in Sioux Falls, and me and him are very much alike, and I look up to him in a lot of areas of my training.
Next one was the top thing you want to get in martial arts this year. I think you already said you want to world champion in point sparring. If you had to pick top one goal, that would be it. Love it.
Top one would actually be getting one of my kids to win sparring or forms.
Okay, so one of the students who goes up there. We've had a couple people on the main stage, but want them to win the big deal.
Definitely.
I love it. What's one piece of advice you give to somebody starting out martial arts training? Somebody who's never done it before, they're starting. What's one piece of advice to give them?
Practice everything at home a lot. Do your kicks a lot. Everything in repetition. Repetition is key. When you make the easy things actually easy, not things you actually have to think about, then you're training from there on and learning from how to do strategies to how to improve your game gets a lot easier. And if you're always fighting to figure out how to do a chamber or do a pivot correctly, then that's very difficult to make happen. So practice the basics a lot, kicks a lot.
All right. How do you balance your training with other responsibilities like work and if people have school, jobs, families? How do you do it?
I just find the best times that fit into what I'm doing and where I'm at. So a lot of the times it's if someone else is available to go train with me, whether it be at the gym or at the academy. We all obviously have our Taekwondo classes here, but if I have free time also, I like to train at the academy or at home whenever I can. So just trying to find open slots and then moving around work. Obviously can't change work for this, but do what you can.
You kind of did this a little earlier. Describe a moment in training when you felt unstoppable or in flow stage, so to speak.
Oh my
Let's talk about training, not competitions or testings.
Training moments. There was one time there was this kid. He was a really nice kid. He had a little bit of an ego with him, but he had done like karate at another place, and he was doing Taekwondo here, and he decent ego. He was a nice guy though. But we were sparring one time and I don't know, he did something disrespectful. He hit me a little too hard, more than I wanted him to. And I kind of locked in, got in flow stage, kind of like I was talking about before. And I ended up blocking everything he was doing and I kind of hit him a lot. And it was pretty awesome. So I felt pretty good on that. So that definitely felt unstoppable that day.
I love it. I love it. Let's see here. What's one way you want to use martial arts to make a positive impact in the world outside of martial arts?
Outside of martial arts, it would be what I can get my students to do outside of the academy. My big thing is making the world a better place through inspiring kids to be better in themselves. So that's the biggest way. I would also like to inspire. We're going to be doing like this new team, and I would like for us to be able to take the group of the academy and go out and do things like picking up trash or litter and helping out, give food to the homeless, whatever it may be. So that's something I'm thinking about that we're going to be doing here soon, which would be pretty sweet. So
love it, love it, love it. That's all the questions I have. Anything else you want to leave these guys with about goal setting, whether it's on relationships, on accomplishments, or anything that you would recommend to anybody?
Nothing big, just take it serious. Make sure you're being specific with your goals and make sure you are routinely figuring out if you're achieving them or not, and assess what you have to do to get better for your goals. If you leave it alone and you just say it, it's never going to happen. So you have to routinely think about it every single day, every single week. You need to make sure you're keeping up with the actions that you set for yourself.
Love it. Love it. All right. Thanks, man. I appreciate everything here. So if you haven't already, make sure you like the video, subscribe, hit the notifications icon. That way, anytime I have a brand new video, and then I'll also be doing a video later on here with Mr. Gavin Fatah and our link of interview videos with Blackbelts too. So look forward to seeing you in the next video.